San Francisco 49ers training camp day 2 is completed. We have a lot to talk about, and I'm sure I can already see how it's priming up. A lot to argue about the San Francisco 49ers quarterback. Why isn't my quarterback successful? And oh my gosh, I can't wait to get into it all. Right now, we're going to talk quarterbacks, we're going to talk 49ers training camps, standouts, everything in between, guys who've been looking good, guys who maybe haven't. And again, we're going to talk about it all right now after this. Make sure you drop a SDS in the chat. Smash that like button. Let's go. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to see it. What is going down, SDS? I can already feel that we are going to have a phenomenal show today. I could this conversation and surrounding the 49ers quarterback is again continuing to jump to new highs. But I'm also here to tell you everything that I saw, the way that I evaluated it through the lens in which I evaluate football, and we're going to talk about it all. I feel like every single time now that I speak about the 49ers quarterback, there has to be like a preface of context involved. Remember, this is day 2 of training camp. Day 2, no pads. There's no pads. So everything that we're watching right now is a development. It's not a end all be all for anything. So whether your favorite quarterback had a good day or a bad day, honestly, isn't a big deal in the grand scheme of things because it's day 2 of training camp with no pads. And what we are trying to discern and understand is the process in which the San Francisco 49ers are operating under, and specifically surrounding the 49ers quarterback position. Because guess what? They've got 4 quarterbacks now. So because they have 4 quarterbacks and Brock Purdy has returned, and today was Brock Purdy's first day back at training camp, each individual quarterback has their own contextual base point and baseline. They're all different. Brock Purdy, we haven't seen throw a football since the NFC Championship game. Trey Lance is coming off of injured foot that he broke week 2 against Seattle. But guess when Trey was cleared to go? He was cleared to go in OTAs. So he's got a little bit of a jump start. Sam Darnold has been an underachieving number 3 overall quarterback. And then we have Brandon Allen, who's been a career backup. So there's all these different starting points and baselines for how we're evaluating all these things. And so I want to get into it because let's just get right into the quarterback thing, because obviously so many people have so many different opinions about it. And they feel so justified in projecting their thoughts onto your thoughts. And so without even understanding your thoughts, they just see something that they don't like. And so because they don't like it, they're going to just project it onto you how they feel, which is, again, they don't like it. So let's talk about how the 49ers quarterbacks did today. So again, it was really cool to see Brock Purdy. Because again, we have been working with so many different timelines with when Brock Purdy was going to be able to be back, when he was going to return, what that situation would look like. And, for a part of it, like, we didn't really anticipate Brock Purdy was going to be available at the start of training camp. So to have Brock Purdy throwing in day 2, that was pretty cool to see. And then on top of that, we're starting to see what the quarterback rotation looks like, and it's very interesting. For example, today, Brock Purdy was the first, this was his first practice, and he took every single rep with the first team. No other quarterback got first team reps today. And so I was surprised by that. I thought, they would maybe rotate him in, take it slow. I don't know. I didn't know how they were going to operate his load management or anything like that. Some of the best news that I could report on from this training camp is that it looks like there is no limitations with Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy, who again we felt like he had a delayed surgery. They felt like there was some swelling. They wanted to postpone it a little bit. So there was some early concern with Brock Purdy. And fast forward to now, the fact that we got Brock Purdy practicing today with no limitations, I think, is a really good sign. Now, does that mean he had a perfect day of practice? Does that mean that he came out and looked like Brock Purdy versus Tampa Bay Bucks? No, not at all. But there's also, we understand it's training camp, and everything in training camp is effectively baby steps. So that's why I always find it interesting when people take things from training camp and they treat it as if it's the end all be all. With each individual rep and practice, this is about stacking. Training camp is about stacking days together. And we are going to see what these guys look like when it's all said and done. We haven't even had pads yet. Reminder: football is actually played in pads, so those are the most important days of training camp. Is when we get the pads on. So first of all, the first fact of the matter is Brock Purdy being available at training camp at this stage. That's pretty cool. Then the fact that he got all the first team reps and again was not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. He had what was it, a pick six, I believe, on a miscommunication to Brandon Ayuk. The pocket completely collapsed around him, and he said YOLO, and he threw it directly to Sean Gibson, and it would have been a straight house call. Yeah, it's not a good play, but there were so many positive things to take out of what Brock did today. And just because he might have been 3 of 10 with an interception, people try to scout off stat sheets, and let alone like in real games, they scout off stat sheets. But if you're scouting off stats for training camp, I'm afraid that I'm gonna have to tell you that you're fundamentally doing it wrong. Um, because the thing is, there's this context that comes along with football. Football is a very complex game. There's a lot that comes along with it. Like arguably one of Brock Purdy's best throw was a drop from Brandon Ayuk. Does that show up on a stat sheet? Does that work for that? Because when you see everything coming together with this practice, and you look at what Brock Purdy's able to do and what he was trying to do, it is we're getting a baseline of what he has. So Brock Purdy wasn't perfect, but he was also pushing the ball downfield. He was taking shots. He was putting the ball in different parts of the field. And those are the progressions that I think that we want to see from Brock, especially when he's coming back. And there's also things that we want to see from the other quarterbacks in Sam Darnold, Trey Lance, and even Brandon Allen, because guess what? They're 49ers quarterbacks, and we want to see what they are. So let's go through the list of how these quarterbacks fared today. Again, I'm not a guy I don't even keep stats throughout practice. I watch the play develop. I write it down for what happened. And again, I try to keep in mind all the context involved. So I'm just going to kind of go through some of my notes, and it's obviously going to bounce around from all the quarterbacks. But I'm going to just go through my notes of how the quarterbacks fared today. And as I said, it was Brock Purdy to start, and it started out with a bit of a pitch frenzy. They had a pitch to CMC, who had a really nice cutback, but the lane immediately closed on him. So again, 49ers defense, one of the things that we have to take away is the 49ers defense is really good, right? The 49ers defense is, even without Nick Bosa on the field, I mean, there's no pads. I don't know how many times I have to say this. There's no pads. So O-line, D-line is just, you have to take it with a grain of salt, because O-line are always going to be at a disadvantage against defensive linemen with no pads. It's just how it works. So defensive linemen have the advantage, the leg up, and so things happen. The very next play, the second play of the day in team period, was a play action from Brock to Dwelly. Dwelly put it right on Brock, put it right on Dwelly, and Dwelly dropped it. So right away, if you see, okay, Brock started practice 0-1, and that's all you're looking at. Oh, that's not that great. That's not good. Right? Like, okay, but Dwelly dropped the ball. Does that matter at all? So it was a little play action boot like we've seen from Brock before. He flipped it and Dwelly dropped it. The next play was a pitch. CMC had a minimal gain. The next play was a pitch to Elijah Mitchell, and Elijah Mitchell had a good cutback. One of the things about Elijah Mitchell today, definitely ran harder. Definitely ran, which felt like a little bit more of a purpose today. Because yesterday it was a TDP show. TDP had a phenomenal day yesterday. Today it felt like Elijah Mitchell and Jordan Mason wanted their shot. So that was cool to see. Eli was running hard. JP was running hard. Then I think it was Trey Lance's turn after that. So first 4 plays went to Brock. 3 were runs. 1 was a play action and a Dwelly drop. First play from Trey Lance was a fumbled snap. Then the second play from Trey Lance was a near interception with a ball thrown into double coverage. It was a situation where it looked like from a process standpoint, Trey Lance was standing in the pocket. It didn't look like the pocket was collapsing on him. He had the opportunity to kind of step up into the pocket and threw right into double coverage. I do think it was one of those situations where the underneath defender tipped it, but both defenders were playing underneath the wide receiver. But it was one of those situations where the first guy touched it, and it actually, I would say, stopped the other guy from picking it. So, hey, it's not a pick, not an interception, but it just wasn't a good throw. The very next play, we had a zone read to TDP. TDP showed good vision yet again. And then, so that's how it started. And we had Brock with the 1s. We had Trey with the 2s, and then it went to Brandon Allen. So I thought that was interesting, but this is a theme that plays out for the rest of practice. It was because I would have assumed that with Brock being back, it would have been Brock, Trey, Sam, and then occasionally throwing in Brandon Allen. But no, that wasn't the case. It was Brock primarily with the 1s, Brandon Allen primarily with the 3s, and it was Trey and Sam exclusively splitting reps. But by the end of the practice, Sam Darnold got more looks overall than Trey did. So it was like weighted. It was like Sam would go through 2 rotations and then Trey would get 1. Sam would go through 2 rotations and then Trey would get 1. So by the end of practice, Trey actually had the least amount of snaps taken by any of the quarterbacks. So it was interesting. I would not have expected that what the rotation would be. Um, I would definitely expect that the majority of the reps would be going to Brock, Trey, and Sam, not Brock, Sam, and Brandon Allen. So that was interesting. So that's one of the first things. So again, we go from a fumbled. So Trey did not start off well. He had a fumble and then almost a near interception, and then zone read the TDP, and I think that was it. Then Brandon Allen comes in. He had a big, big miss. I couldn't tell if it was like he was actually trying to throw it out of bounds or it just was a bad pass that went out of bounds. It wasn't a good pass. I don't know if it was a throwaway. I couldn't really tell from what that standpoint of what Brandon Allen was doing. Um, and so everything else was, it was whatever. Like, Brandon didn't really show a whole lot early on. And then we go back to Brock Purdy. And then this is where he throws his interception on his second attempt. And like I've already explained, the pocket collapsed, and as a result, he let that thing rip. I mean, you could see the entire pocket just completely collapsing around him. Um, and again, that's not an excuse, it's a reality of the situation. And in that reality, Brock threw it. And as a result, Tashawn Gibson picked it. Like it went straight to Tashawn Gibson. Like it looked like the pass was intended for Tashawn Gibson. Like it was like one of those where you're like, "Ooh, that was not good. It wasn't a good pass." But it was a situation where the pocket was collapsing, Brock was getting rid of the ball, and he delivered it right to the defense. So yeah, not the quality start. Brock started with a drop pass from Dwelly, and then mortgaged that right into an interception. Outside of that, as they kept going, you got the handoffs and things like that. Um, then then we got probably the best throw of the day, and it wasn't by Brock or Trey. It was by Sam. Sam threw a deep out towards the sideline. It was probably 25 yard pass. It was a good throw. I was right in line with it. And based on the angle of where it was. So I saw that thing come out of Sam's hand. The spiral was tight and it wasn't pinpoint perfect accuracy, but he got it where he needed to, where Debo Samuel went up for it, made a good catch against the left sideline, and it ended up being the best throw of the day. Um, so the best throw of the day came from Sam Darnold. Again, I wouldn't have expected that, especially based on yesterday's practice. But what I think had happened, or at least what it feels like had happened, was Sam, who was not so decisive yesterday, definitely didn't have a good practice yesterday. They both Trey and Sam struggled in the first team period in 7-on-7s. Then that second team period is where Trey started to make some plays. Sam didn't make any plays, I think, outside of one to Brandon Ayuk yesterday. Today felt like Sam, there's like a different energy to Sam. I can't explain it to you. Just looked like there's a bigger sense of urgency for Sam today. I don't know if Brock returning had something to do with that. I have no idea. But it felt like there was just a bigger sense of urgency to Sam. And so his first real pass, he unloaded it and it was pretty solid. Latu had a false start, and that, pretty much wrapped up the first team period. So when you look at the first team period, again, you had a Trey Lance near interception, a fumble. You had a Brock Purdy drop, and a Brock Purdy interception. You had Brandon Allen throwing it out of bounds, and then you had Sam Darnold with a good shot to Debo. Um, so so again, that is what it looks like. That's what practice looks like. Um, let's see. How Brad reporting Purdy looked better than Trey when both completed 2 passes, but Purdy got more reps, all with the first team, and Brock threw a pick, and Trey least reps than all quarterbacks. Because we don't, I already got done talking about this. Thank you for joining late. I don't scout off of training camp stat sheets. And if you want to, if you care to stay and listen, I'm explaining it all right now because I don't come on here and say, look at this stat sheet from training camp. It's probably the one thing that I've said most consistently on this channel is that I do not care about training camp stats. Literally take your stats and throw them in the garbage. I do not scout or make evaluations or assumptions off of how many passes were completed per a spreadsheet. If you want to, go for it. I will never do that. I don't do that with real games. I don't do that with practice. So if you want to listen why that we are not scouting off of stats, then let's go through it, shall we? And now I'm apparently taking shots at everyone because I don't scout off stat sheets. This is why this quarterback conversation is literally insufferable. Like, I'm trying to give you my opinion. I don't care about anyone other opinion. I don't care. If you want that, if you trust them and believe whoever these people are, that is fine. Good for you. But for me, I come on here, I go to practice, I watch with my 2 eyes, and I take all the experience that I have over the last 10 years of watching college tape, watching pro tape, scouting draft prospects. This is my 3rd full official year of covering training camp. I take all of it, and this is how I evaluate. That's it. That's it. Like, this is like the theme of these reports that I'm giving my thoughts and opinions, and somehow I'm being told I'm being biased. Now I'm taking shots at other people. Who have I took a shot at? I haven't taken a shot at one person. The most beautiful thing about football evaluation is that you and I can watch the same thing and have a different opinion. That is the beauty of it all. And so that's what I'm going to do. And I don't care, honestly, how hurt your feelings are about it because I don't care that much about it either. I'm just telling you what I saw. And I'm telling you what I saw through my lens, not someone else's. So if you don't agree or want to like vibe with what that's fine. But don't project your insecurities and your weird stuff onto me. Like, if you want to listen, that's fine. If you don't, you think I'm biased, you think I'm this, log off, unsubscribe. Like, I'm just here to tell you what I saw. And if you want to get all upset about it, that's more of a you problem. Nothing about what I am doing is spinning narratives, spinning anything. I told you from the jump, I'm going to training camp. Everyone's at a baseline of 0, and they're going to have to stack. Each one has a column, and each one is stacking each individual day, and they're putting their amount of bricks and how much they're bringing to the table. And that is how we are evaluating, because this is not a one-time thing. We have to watch it all play out. So that's what we're doing. And as we just discussed, the first team period was unforgettable for both Brock Purdy and Trey Lance. If we want to provide unbiased context, Sam Darnold had the better first team period out of Trey Lance, Brock Purdy, Brandon Allen. If you want to check it off in your box and win column, Sam won the first one. And outside of that, no one did anything else other than turn the football over. So let's get into 7-on-7, shall we? As you can tell, I'm very excited to talk about this. 7-on-7, we had a Brock check down to Juice. We had Brock, Tay Martin. It looked like Brock worked through all his reads, and then Tay Martin came back, and basically it was like a 5-yard completion outside the numbers. Brock just kind of worked through all his reads. Didn't like what he had open. Went to Tay Martin. We also had this one I liked particularly, again, because you guys know how I roll. I like blocking, and I like blocking from wide receivers. And on this particular throw, there was nothing crazy. It was a quick throw to Juice out of the backfield, but the lead blocker was Chris Connolly. And it stood out to me that Chris Connolly was putting out max effort to block for Kyle Juszczyk, probably like 15, 20 yards downfield. So I thought that was pretty cool. Shout out to Chris Connolly. You show an effort to block in the run game from the wide receiver position. You get some attaboy points from me because I'm all about that. That to me is effort. That's an attitude. It's a mentality, especially from the wide receiver position. Then after that, Brock came out again. We're in 7-on-7s. Sam Darnold threw a dart to Debo. I believe this was a in-breaking route. And with the in-breaking route, Sam put it on Debo. Debo beat Ambry Thomas. So far, Ambry isn't having, I would say, so far, from what I've seen from Ambry, hasn't been that great. But I'm still gonna wait and see on Ambry. Again, Ambry, I want to see in pads. Like I want to see how Ambry holds up in pads. Guys like Debo are gonna shake free. It's gonna happen. But Sam hit a dart to Debo. I think it was like 15 yards downfield. This one was I was kind of surprised by this particular throw from Sam. It was a very, very tight window throw to Danny Gray, and it was probably a solid 20-yard throw downfield. And it was like where Gray had, I don't know, it was like a dig or something. Like he put his foot in the ground and turned around about 10, 15 yards downfield. And there was a lot of defenders around Gray, but the velocity and accuracy in which Sam put that ball on him it gave Gray a chance to catch it. So I don't know if so again, like when you're talking about like stats, I don't know if people consider this a catch or not because I could see it going both ways. Where Danny Gray caught it, he for sure caught it, and if you could totally make the argument that he would have been stopped with forward progress, but they were continuing to fight for the ball and the ball popped out. So again, like it could be considered a catch, it could be considered a drop. It really could go both ways in a training camp setting. So I find that that one was a good throw nonetheless. Um, and then Sam hit Connolly for a nice gain. Then it was so again we haven't seen Trey yet. Um, and then Brock hit Kittle for a decent gain. Um, Brock had a really nice throw to Brandon Ayuk. Ayuk had to go up and get it. It was about 25 yards downfield. But it was a great pitch and catch by both Brock and Ayuk to go up and get it. That was pretty nice. And then this one is funny because it's been met with all different kinds of comments and thoughts. Brock Purdy uncorked a 50-yard deep ball that was probably a solid like 5 to 7 yards out in front of the receiver. Um, I looked at it like this, like, yes, that's an incompletion, but I'm everything that I'm watching from Brock Purdy right now, I'm watching it through the lens of is Brock Purdy limited? Is he trying to push the ball downfield? Is he is he attempting to push the ball downfield? And to see him uncork this 50-yard bomb, it looked good. It just the timing wasn't right. It just wasn't there. And he missed on it. The accuracy outside of the timing, I mean, it would have been a catchable ball if the timing worked better, but it just was too far out in front of the wide receiver. But the takeaway is like with Brock Purdy throwing this ball, we're like, because what are the one of the one yeah, what is one of the questions that we have been asking or been asked? What is Brock's arm look like? What are the limitations? Are there limitations? Um, how are they going to manage this type of scenario with Brock? Day one, they were letting Brock air it out. This isn't the last time that Brock threw it over 50 yards. So to me, that is pretty encouraging in regards to Brock's arm strength. Brock also stayed after, and so two quarterbacks stayed after. It was Sam Darnold and Brock Purdy. They stayed after for about, I don't know, 15 minutes, 20 minutes throwing deep. So they clearly, Brock has some gas in the tank because he went through the entire practice and played every first team rep. Then he stayed after and he threw some, he was throwing deep for about 15 minutes after practice. So that's the baseline in which we're trying to look at Brock. The expectation that I personally have, and I think like this is like I see it in the chat, I've seen it in the comments, like, oh wow, Brock, what is the common line? Brock went 3 of 10 or 2 for 9 because no one can get the stats correct and interception, and you're talking about how Brock had a good day. It's like I'm evaluating Brock from the sense of I have zero idea of what Brock can do. I don't know. We don't know. I haven't seen Brock throw a football since he since he threw a screen pass to CMC in the NFC Championship game with a torn UCL. I have no idea, and no one else does either. We haven't seen Brock throw a football. They posted 0 clips. We saw nothing. So today is literally the first day that anyone outside of the San Francisco 49ers has seen Brock Purdy throw. So all today for me is like, has Brock lost any velocity? Has Brock lost any arm strength? Can he still spin it? Is there still touch? Is he timid? Is there any processing issues that have come along with it? So right now, what I am doing is getting Brock Purdy's first time throwing and checking off boxes that he can still do what he did before. And if he can do what he did before, that's a pretty good day in my book, considering we were talking about at one point, is Brock Purdy going to heal from this? Will Brock Purdy ever throw again? I think people miss that context. I feel like they don't understand that. Like, do you want to miss a 50-yard throw in a game-winning moment? No, ask Jimmy Garoppolo. Like, we understand that that's not the standard, but that's not what's being evaluated. What is being evaluated is can Brock Purdy throw the football at all? Can he throw it deep? Can he throw it with timing? Can he throw it with touch? And the reason why today was a good day for Brock, because he showed all of those things. Was he perfect? No. Was the expectation that he was going to be perfect? Absolutely not. That's why the context matters in how we're evaluating him. I'm not evaluating Brock Purdy like it's the NFC Championship game. I'm evaluating Brock Purdy like I was terrified at one point that this guy was never going to throw the football again. And this is my first time seeing it. That's how I'm evaluating Brock Purdy. I don't care about his stats. I don't care. I don't care, because I saw enough today from Brock Purdy. I saw this here. Got here late. Was Brock really that terrible? No, he wasn't. He wasn't. Considering this is the first time that this guy has been in this type of situation since nearly ripping his elbow off just a couple months ago. No, he wasn't. Under that specific context, no, he wasn't. Considering the fact he's a year 2 quarterback, no, he wasn't. Considering the fact he didn't get a real offseason because he was focused on rehabbing and making sure he could throw a football again, no, because the expectation should have been that Brock Purdy was going to be rusty today. That Brock Purdy was TBD. We don't know what to expect from Brock Purdy. What did you expect from Brock Purdy today? Did you expect Brock Purdy getting his first op since the NFC Championship game? Missed all OTAs, missed all of minicamp. And what was your expectation for him? Was your expectation for him to what? Be Joe Montana? Were you expecting him to be Steve Young? What's the expectation? What's the expectation for Trey Lance? What's the expectation for Sam Darnold? That's why I have my own context. My context is probably different from other people that watched the same practice that I watched. But I know what my context is and how I'm viewing this. And with how I'm viewing this, I'm just wanting to make sure that Brock Purdy can throw a football. And so far today, we got that. So just like with Trey Lance and what we said about Trey Lance yesterday, is Trey had a good day, not great day. And what Trey now needs to do, we got a baseline, build on top of that. That's exactly what we said yesterday. With Brock Purdy, we got a baseline, now build on top of that. That's what training camp is. It's a process. These thoughts that we keep, these people that have like verbal diarrhea when it comes to talking about um, these training camp reports is it's crazy because it's like have you ever experienced a training camp before? Do you know what a training camp is? Do you know that there is a process involved where we're not even in pads yet? Like we're not wearing pads. So the high level expectations that you already want, they're already diminished because they're not wearing pads. It changes everything. Changes everything for the O line and D line. Changes the way protections work. It changes things. So I like this one. Wait, this camp is for training? No, this camp is for coming in and being as polished and can be. And according to 49er fans, you can't make a mistake or you're cooked. You cannot make a mistake or you're cooked. Good luck, pal. Hit the road, Jack. Don't come back. If you can't complete 50% of your passes in training camp, you're cooked, pal. You're cooked. It's like, dude, chill out. People are killing themselves right now over training camp stats. It's like, man, just relax. Take a deep breath. Regardless of if your favorite quarterback is doing well or not. Take a deep breath. There's more days left. There's more days. Just keep working. Keep putting in the time. Keep putting in the effort. This is he says fans are in midseason form. This is like how everyone overreacted to the Texans preseason game last year. That was quite fun. Let's see. We got a couple super chats to break us up. Justin says, heard D. Winters got beat on a choice route by Laybourne. Did you see that or anything else from Winters stand out? No, I did not lock in on Winters today. I'll be honest with you. I wasn't watching that, so I didn't see that specific play either. Because again, when they're not wearing pads, I'm just kind of following the ball, just kind of seeing the way the play develops. And of course, we're focused on the quarterback. So I've been watching a lot of quarterback. So if I might miss something like that. So I definitely didn't see that. I'll be honest with you. I didn't see that one. I haven't really seen anything from Winters specifically, but I will say, speaking of rookie linebackers, Jalen Graham would have had a sack today. Jalen Graham came blitzing off what would be the offense's left side. I don't know if it was against the second or third team offense, but no one blocked him. No one picked him up. Jalen Graham would have had a straight path for the quarterback. So he would have had a sack today. But I didn't see anything specifically out of D. Winters. I admittedly wasn't locked on to him. Appreciate the super chat. Dakin, he says, are the expectations for Brock to throw every other day and for Trey to take advantage of BP's day off? I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not even pretend like I know what they're doing with their quarterback rotation. I learned that last year with the center rotation. The 49ers have their own process when it comes to rotating quarterbacks. Again, today's quarterback rotation threw me off. I was not anticipating Trey Lance to be the guy that got the least amount of reps today. I would assume that would have been Brandon Allen. So I'm going to be honest with you and say I have no idea what these guys are cooking in regards to these rotations. Again, I was surprised today. So I would imagine maybe that's the case. But again, today was a surprise that Trey got so little reps, all things considered. So Yeah, it's interesting. Um, what's good, Jesse? Jesse's in the chat says told people yesterday that Brock will struggle and be patient. If I gave Trey grace, I'm giving it to Brock, and that's fair. That's I guess what we would consider unbiased, right? But I guess that's the point. It's like you can only see what you see, right? Out here, I'm not making anything up. Like these are the notes that I've taken. This is what I see. If you guys have joined me in any film breakdowns, you can literally see how I watch football. Because I have to talk through it. So I have a very specific way of how I watch football. It might not be similar to the next guy. Um, but all I'm reporting to you is what I saw. And this is how it went. And then so after we got Brock Purdy throwing the 50 yards, again, I thought it was a positive because I had no idea if Brock could throw that far. Like, could you imagine if Brock loaded up for a deep pass and underthrew it 15 yards? Could you imagine that? Like, so the fact that he overshot his guy by a solid like 5-7 yards, I was like, I'll take that. I'll take it. It was a good throw, just the timing wasn't right. And that's what happens when you're not in a groove. So it's bound to happen. So then Brock missed on the 50-yarder. A lot of people didn't like that. It was good to see Brock throw 50 yards. They weren't appreciative of that. But then Trey comes in, and then Trey missed a pass to the flat to Willis. So just miss. It was it's a layup type throw. Trey fired it, and it just was too high and out of reach for Willis. Willis barely got one hand on it. The very next play, Trey checked down to Latu over the middle. So Latu just kind of ran and turned around, and it was interesting because it almost felt like the first read where Trey got the ball, Latu kind of ran this little button hook, and he just threw it to Latu for like 2-yard gain. And then Trey completed another short pass to Willis. And then that was the end of 7-on-7s. So again, there's so little reps so far in the first team period and first 7-on-7s. Like it's just like people are coming away with like all these hot takes and hot fire evaluations, and it's like I don't know how that can happen because everything is evolving in a moving target, and we have so little reps right now to go off of that it's hard to paint a full picture. It's kind of like the same process of everyone wanting to call Aaron Banks a bust after the Chicago game, and people were yelling at me because, oh, you're the offensive line guy and you're not calling Aaron Banks a bust after what he did in Chicago. And what did I tell everyone? I said, small sample size. The things that he struggled with are correctable, which means in football, you allow them time to work and improve upon those things. More often than not, they do. And guess what? Now you have the entire fan base talking about why Aaron Banks could potentially be a Pro Bowl caliber offensive lineman. Just be patient. Like just wait and see. Wait how it plays out. Same thing applies to training camp. You're not gonna understand what everything is through 2 days of training camp with no pads. You're not going to. You'll get a piece of the puzzle, and then the third day will be another piece to the puzzle, and then you'll get pads on. There'll be more pieces to the puzzle. So again, everyone trying to assemble this puzzle and they're all lacking the pieces. It's interesting. It's quite a time today in all this stuff. But let's continue, shall we? Let's continue. First play of team period, the second team period, which is a longer extended team period, which was nice. It was Dre Greenlaw blew up the first play, just absolutely just like a missile. Running, I think it was CMC, like or someone, I can't remember exactly who, but they couldn't even get past beyond the line of scrimmage. It would have been a tackle for loss. Dre Greenlaw got in there so fast. Would have absolutely blew up whoever it was if they were going full speed. It was pretty impressive to watch. Um, the uh, the next couple series was pretty interesting because again, no pads, but you had Trent Williams versus Drake Jackson, and you had basically Drake Jackson kind of collapse the pocket from the outside, and Javon Hargrave collapsed the pocket from the inside for a sack. And it's one of those things that we've been talking about with Javon Hargrave is like the second you get any type of outside pressure kind of collapsing the bookends, and you have Javon collapsing the pocket from the interior, you're like the pocket diminishes like that and created a sack. And so Drake Jackson has looked pretty darn good. Javon Hargrave has looked really good. And then the next play, a guy who's been a quiet standout is I'm forgetting his first name, but his last Austin Bryant. Austin Bryant, who's the edge rusher that we signed out of Detroit. He is very thin, but he's long and fast. And he got Trent a little bit on this particular play where Bryant got around the corner and was able to beat Trent with some leverage. He wasn't like a flat out beat, but he beat Trent's leverage and kind of collapsed the pocket a little bit. And I was like, oh, Austin Bryant, okay. That was impressive. Austin Bryant would have had a sack yesterday. Um, so that was nice. Then Trey Lance threw to TDP out of the backfield in the flat. It's hard to tell if it was a drop or pass breakup from Marcelino McCrary Ball. Based on Marcelino McCrary Ball's reaction, it looked like he blocked it because he was hyped. But that then you had Trey hit Jordan Mason out of the backfield. Also, a guy who popped was Kinlaw. Um, again, no pads, O line's at a disadvantage, but Kinlaw looks a gear faster. Now we'll see if that maintains. Of course, throughout pads and throughout the year, but I'm just telling you what I see right now. And right now, Javon Kinlaw looks a step faster. He pancaked one of these offensive linemen. It was a super quick get off. You could tell that the offensive lineman was taken off guard by it, and he got put on his back as a result. So I was like, okay, I'll take it, Kinlaw. Again, we're taking it one step at a time with Kinlaw. I don't have any expectations for him. All I'm looking at is what can he show me. And what Kinlaw is showing me is that he looks quicker, he looks smoother, and that power is still there. So we'll see. Can it continue? This is then where Jalen Graham. So like the first portion of team period, it was defense. It was all defense. Defense was just making it really, really hard. really hard. Jalen Graham, the rookie, he would have gotten a sack on Brandon Allen. Again, I talked about it. No one picked him up. Came rushing off the edge. Would have sacked Brandon Allen untouched. What else do we got? Oh, Brock. Brock. This is one of Brock's better throws. Brock had back-to-back pretty quality throws. One was a catch. One was a drop. Probably one of his best throws of the day was a drop. So again, he had 2 drops on the day. So this one was it's typical to like some of the passes, like if you remember the Miami Dolphins game when Brock was threading the needle in between the linebackers, it was kind of similar to that. He put it right on the backside of the middle linebacker. It was really tight, but he threaded the needle, and Brandon Ayuk made a really tough catch to pull it in. So it was a tight window throw, but he made it, and it was probably, it was quality intermediate throw, probably about, I don't know, 15 yards downfield. So not bad, not bad. But the next play was probably Brock's best throw of the day, but it was a drop. So you see how that works out, like when it comes to scouting stat sheets. Like if I told you Brock Purdy's best throw of the day would have went as a incompletion, how do you process that? Is that biased reporting? Because unfortunately the wide receiver dropped his best pass of the day. How does that work? How do you quantify that? How do you contextualize that? So Brock's best pass of the day was about 20 yards downfield. Honestly, I thought it was going to be a pick. I was like, he threw it right at Demetrius Fennigan-Fowles. And I was like, oh no. Because you saw where Ayuk was and you saw where DFF was, and Ayuk was behind DFF. And someone asked how far. It was about a 20-yard throw. And he dropped it right on the other side of DFF. I mean, DFF went up too. DFF laid out, jumped up, reached all the way up for it. And Brock just dropped it in right on the other side. Brandon Ayuk went up for it, tried to high point it, dropped it. I was like, oh. I was like, man, that would have been the one for Brock. But unfortunately, Brandon Ayuk wasn't able to come down with it. So again, that's why it's such a dangerous game to see a stat line and be like, how can you talk about Brock Purdy like he did anything good if he only completed 3 passes? Well, it's like, well, 2 of them were drops. 2 of them were drops. 2 of them were good passes, and they got dropped. Is that on Brock? Brock wasn't perfect on the day, but he also, it's a team game. That's why we play the game. So one of Brock's probably arguably best throw of the day was a drop. Then the next play, Darnold comes in. It was kind of a bad snap off to the side. The pocket instantly collapsed, and Darnold just kind of slung it out there. It was kind of an ugly play altogether. Really didn't look good. And then we had what Kyle's been doing is we finally got a Jake Moody update. Jake Moody, he brings out the field goal kicker. Jake Moody lines up from 33, kicks it good. Lines up from 38, good. Lines up from 41, good. So Moody goes 3 for 3. One thing that I'll say about Moody, he's got a leg, man. That 44, that 41 yarder, he could have went. It could have went an extra 20 yards. Um, that ball really does fly off his foot. Again, not gonna pretend like I can evaluate kickers, but I can see it, and I see him kick it, and it was accurate, and it went far, and I was like, 3 for 3, 33, 38, 41. It's like, okay, I'll take it. I'll take it. Remember, we didn't see Moody yesterday. Then we got Brock to Ayuk. Brock hit Ayuk over the middle. So again, that's I swear I've read like multiple Brock completions. I don't keep track of stats. I just keep tracks of actual like what happened. But I swear I've listed off like multiple completed passes. But anyways, I digress. Brock hit Ayuk over the middle. Drake had another pressure that would have forced a sack. Oh, this one was pretty crazy. Sam Darnold unleashed like a 45-yard pass down the left sideline to Brandon Ayuk. Brandon Ayuk had to make a pretty tough catch to bring it in. Yeah, but he did it. Pretty good pass by Sam Darnold, all things considered. Really good catch by Brandon Ayuk. Not bad. Then after that, Darnold comes back and misses Danny Gray on like a deep in. Jordan Mason had a pretty quality run after that. Brandon Allen's best throw of the day. He hit Jawan Jennings on like a deep over for probably like a 20, 25-yard gain. Then we got our second Brock Purdy bomb. So, like I said, that's kind of stats, Brad. Well, here's another one. Second stat of the day. Brock Purdy throws 2 bombs. This one was closer, though. This one was closer to connecting on Debo. This one was also like opposite side hash, outside the numbers, down the right sideline. Debo had his guy beat. It was just like right out of his like the first overthrow was more egregious. The second overthrow to Debo was much closer, just not enough to bring it in. But all things considered, again, it was like it looked good. It looked good. It looked like the thing came out of his hand. You saw Debo running open down the sideline. It was like one of those like, like it looked like it was gonna hit. It just missed it. But again, Brock Purdy going dose 50 plus yards in his first practice back, to me, is a W. Even though they're both incompletions, the fact that he's actually throwing the ball that far downfield, the closest thing that we got to any other quarterback pushing the ball downfield was Sam Darnold on that 45-yarder to Ayuk. But again, no one pushed the ball downfield more than Brock Purdy today. And considering Brock Purdy's coming off the injury, that's a pretty good sign in my opinion. Now again, baseline, improve upon it. Let's get better. Now complete those passes next time. But again, all things considered, not bad. Then I think we finished on a miss from I think it was Brock. I can't remember. I think it was. And then we had another kicker update. Moody from 38, good. Then brought in Zane. Zane kicked it from 43, good. And then Moody made it from 51. Again, Moody kicked it from 51 and looked like he had plenty of room to spare. And so, again, as you can, again, these are just my notes. I went through everything. I don't care about stats except kicker stats. The only stats I care about. But so does it make sense? Like when I say down day for Lance, Lance got Lance did not get that great quality of reps. He didn't get a ton of reps. And then on top of not getting a ton of reps, almost everything was a check down or short. It didn't feel like the same type of snappiness as Trey during second team yesterday. So again, we are evaluating each individual quarterback in a vacuum of their own. The problem with everyone else is they're constantly okay, good. Thank God. Whew, thank God. Trey, our baseline, I talked about this yesterday. He had really mediocre first team period in 7-on-7. Then he had a better team period. And what did we say? We said, okay, now build on that. Build on that. He did not build on that. That's just the fact of the matter. He didn't build on what he did yesterday. He took a step back. We had whether it's his fault, whether it's not getting enough snaps, I don't know. All I know is what we saw yesterday and what we saw today was a step back. So Trey didn't take a step forward. He took a step back today. I would consider that a down day, I would say. But apparently I can't say that for some reason. Or if I say that, I'm being biased. I've been called biased quite a bit in the last 24 hours for literally just giving my opinion on straight up as objectively as I can. It's crazy. And then Darnold rising, and Darnold had the better day today out of any of the other quarterbacks. So I know that makes some people angry. I know it does. But what would you rather me do? Would you rather me tell you that everything's going to be okay for whichever quarterback you like and say, let's say what? I told you from the beginning. I'm going to treat all these quarterbacks the same. I don't care. I told you after doing the film breakdown, I understand. I totally understand why they're leaning Brock. I get it. But Brock's coming back from a surgery. We have no idea what limitations there may be or the effect may be on Brock. So we're going to be TBD. And then with the Trey Lance situation, we're just going to let it ride out. We're going to see what we got. And with Sam Darnold, I've been called a Sam Darnold fanboy, which is kind of funny because I was probably the most adamant against the 49ers adding Sam Darnold in 2021, I think out of anyone. If you probably go search, you can go to my Twitter and go search Sam Darnold with my @ on it. You'll probably find a lot more negative tweets about Sam Darnold. Your boy did not want Sam Darnold on this team. in 2021 because I didn't want him as a starter. I didn't think Sam Darnold was starting material. Backup, I was fine with. You're talking about third string quarterback? I can live with that. But no. So again, it's just like it feels like everyone's projecting their biases onto me because I'm trying to provide as unbiased of a quarterback take as possible. And what I'm realizing is like everyone has their rooting interest. And I get it. Good. Good. I'm glad that you like one of these quarterbacks. But again, the conversation could be so much easier. It could be so much easier. It could just be so much. It could just be so much. There could be so much more hostility baked out of it. Everyone's so like, and it's not even just me. It's not like I've clearly gotten my fair share. Go look at the comment section of my reaction video today. Pretty amazing. But again, it is what it is, dude. Like we're on day 2. And we gotta wait and see. Man, people are ready. If Sam Darnold is on the San Francisco 49ers in 2021, I will officially lose my mind. Yesterday, I got told that I am a Sam Darnold fan and fanboy, and been called multiple times that I'm a Sam Darnold fanboy. So I hope your day is going well. I hope your continued fun situation with all these things were good. Did you listen to anything I say? Or are you joking again? They're all at different levels, man. They're all at different levels. What are we doing here? I'm getting trolled into oblivion. But it's all good. It's been one of those days. Overall, big shocker for everyone. The defense played well today. The defense is good. And they are not wearing pads. So yeah, fun day. Anything else you guys want to talk about? I think I covered today's practice as in depth as possible. Yes. This is true. Hey, by the way, this is a perfect opportunity for me to say I love you all. I love you all, man. Like we're at least, like I said this too. Like on one hand, like we're arguing about real football. We're not just arguing about hypotheticals anymore. We're getting to argue about real football. So I like that. It's good. That's a good place to be. And we'll see how it plays out, man. Hey, on some completely different note, do you guys see what happened to Joe Burrow today? Man, I hope Joe's all right. That would suck. I'm not a big fan of anyone getting injured or anything like that, dude. If Joe goes down, I mean, they made it look serious, like non-contact injury, carted off. Jalen Ramsey went down today too. Didn't even Garrett Wilson go down with something? So again, you guys want real problems? Those are real problems. Right now, we got good problems. Knock on wood for continued health, and everyone staying up on their feet, because that's the biggest thing. Um, might just be a calf. Well, I hope so. I hope it's just a calf. I haven't seen anything other than him get carted off. So, um, hopefully, hopefully it's just a calf for Burrow. And Jalen Ramsey, I heard, is having surgery today too. That's brutal. Again, I don't like Jalen Ramsey. I don't like Jalen Ramsey one bit, but that sucks that he got hurt. Um, but it does sound like he'll be able to be back at a certain point, I guess. He says, Brad, can we talk about Brandon Allen stealing reps from the guys who actually need them? Yeah, I told you. It was one of the first things. Was one of the first things that I was like, this is kind of crazy that Brandon Allen is getting more reps than Trey Lance today. Definitely didn't have that on my bingo card for training camp. But again, I don't know. What do you guys make of it? What, like, based on how you perceived yesterday's practice to go from Trey Lance? Because some people said Trey Lance had the greatest practice of all time yesterday. So like, what is your perception? How do you process this? Like, from someone telling you Trey Lance had the best practice ever yesterday, to then not getting reps today and not having a good practice at all. How are you guys managing that? Because I saw both practices, so I feel very comfortable kind of in like what I saw, but I did find it interesting that he got less reps. I found that to be very interesting, because I would say that you'd want your top 3 quarterbacks to get the most reps, especially the one quarterback who needs the reps the most. I mean, I think you can make the argument Purdy needs the reps the most as well, but that's what we talk about with Trey all the time. You need more reps, and he's not getting them. They're getting less reps. Interesting. Very interesting. How did Drake Jackson look? Drake Jackson looks good, man. He looks good. He was a part of a sack today. He was around the quarterback today. I'm liking what I'm seeing out of Drake Jackson. Again, gotta wait till pads, but I'm liking what I'm seeing from Drake Jackson so far. Pretty impressed by it. Do I believe Purdy will be ready for week 1? Yeah, I do. I mean, today, again, people are like so focused on Brock Purdy having a bad day today, and I'm over here like, I am so relieved by the practice that Brock Purdy had today, because Brock Purdy proved to me he's still got touch. He still can push the ball deep. He can still put the ball where he wants to. It's just not perfect yet. It's just not quite perfect yet, because 2 drops dramatically changes his training camp stat line. If he is able to connect on, I would say, go 50% on one of his 50-yard balls, that dramatically changes the conversation. But it's fine that he didn't, because now he has the opportunity to improve and get better the next day. So the same thing like we said with Trey yesterday was, I didn't think Trey had the best practice. I thought he had a good practice during the second half of team period. The first team drills and 7-on-7 wasn't all that great, but he definitely had a much better team drill to end the day. What I wanted from Trey was to stack. Okay. If you could have a good team period yesterday, let's come out and have a good team period today. That didn't happen. Um, and Sam didn't look all that great yesterday, and Sam looked pretty decent today. Was he perfect? No, but he looked pretty decent overall. So, do we got a competition on our hands? I mean, does that mean Sam's winning the competition? Like, I don't know. I don't know what that means. I don't know what the rotation means for that whole situation. I just know that again, that you notice like it's either like the sky is falling or it's the greatest day ever. I feel like everything is more in the middle. Like there's context with everything to be able to identify the bad and the good in one. There can be a bad play that isn't successful, but good things happen. Like a drop isn't a good thing, but you can quantify the good things that led up to the drop. So again, football is a very nuanced sport. I like to stay in that nuanced realm. I'm not right all the time. Believe it or not, I get things wrong. But one thing that I'll always try to strive for with you guys is to be honest, man. Like to be honest about like my football evals. Like I take that pretty seriously. I think if any of you guys have ever watched me before, I like evaluating football. It's actually a passion of mine. I like football evaluation. From draft evaluation to pro evaluation, doesn't matter. I like evaluating football, not watching football, evaluating it and diving into the nuance and context. That's where I like football. So when I'm watching training camp, I'm watching with that same lens. I'm watching for the nuance. I'm watching for the context. That all matters to me. So if that didn't matter to me, maybe my breakdowns look different. Maybe they sound different. But I love the game and I'm going to show love for the game and I'm going to respect it and I'm not serving anything by feeding you bad information or deliberately going out of my way to spin something. So that's just not how I work. So that's fine. I've been called the exact opposite of all that quite a bit in the last couple 24 hours. But hey, it's fine. It comes along with the territory. I understand. Um, I'm definitely building up a thicker skin to it. That's for sure. Um, there's still a couple comments that just like really kind of irk me because it has nothing to do with football. Um, but again, I'm building up a thicker skin to all those things. And like right now, by the looks of it, I'm gonna come out of training camp like Thanos because at this point, I don't think there's anything you could say to me that hasn't been said because you didn't like my opinion on football, on quarterbacks, and your feelings are hurt by it. Bro, I said Trey Lance had a slightly better day of practice than Sam Darnold the other day because they had 15 total throws on the day. And the second half of the day was where Trey kind of had a better part of practice. He didn't have a better overall practice. He just had a better part of practice. People lost their minds. But it's all good. It's all good. We're here and we're going to keep grinding and I'm not going to change anything. I'm really not. So just add another layer of thickness to this already thick body and we're going to keep rocking. So I don't know if the 49ers have training camp tomorrow because uh it's not open. Uh the next training camp practice I believe is it the 29th 30th, I think. So 28th, 29th off, 30th is the next practice. So we get a little break. I don't know if they get a break. I don't know. But I know open practice gets a break for two of them. So we get a chill. We get we get two what do we get? We get 2 days off and then practice back on Sunday. So judging by everyone's reaction to these past 2 days of training camp, I think 2 days off is fantastic. I think that's good timing because people are losing it, man. People are losing it. It's okay. We're gonna be all right, guys. We got a good team. We're gonna figure it out. Remember everyone. Remember everyone. Remember that live. I'll never forget the toxicity in the live after that Texans preseason game last year, and everyone losing their minds. Remember that? Just going at each other's neck over a preseason game against the Texans. And that same year, the San Francisco 49ers were knocking on the door of another Super Bowl appearance. That was the craziest live I've ever been a part of. And it was off a preseason game. What a ride. So, hey, this training, we've been through worse, man. We've been through worse. Uh, People were not happy after that Texans game at all. It's funny, man. I love 49er fans. 49ers are, a very, very passionate fan base. But considering the fact that I've dealt with 49ers fans on a daily basis for like 6 years now, um, yeah, they can. It's not everyone because, but a little whiny sometimes. Debo Samuel just was voted the number 61 player on the NFL Top 100. That's pretty good. I mean, I don't know. Is that good? 61? I think obviously it would be better if Debo had a little bit better production, but I'm okay with it. I'm okay with 61 based on last year. I think he'll be better. I think Debo had a good day today. Debo had a good day today. He could have had a really good day today if they were able to connect on a couple more passes. Debo had a good day today. Ayuk, again, just outside that drop, had a good day today. I want to see Danny Gray. Like, Danny Gray's getting opportunities. I want to see Danny Gray take advantage of the opportunities a little bit more. That's one thing I want to see. Danny's getting the ball thrown to him, but more often than not, he's not coming down with them. Whether that's his fault or anyone else's fault, that's up for debate. But what I want to see is Danny Gray take it up a notch, because he did have a catch today. But hey, we'll see. So shout out to you guys. Out of everything on day 2, what was the number 1 highlight for me? Number 1 highlight. It probably would have been that Brock Purdy throw to Brandon Ayuk, but Ayuk dropped it because, again, the margin for error was so slim for Brock to get it over DFF, and he did. Just Ayuk dropped it. I would say one of the more wow plays was Sam Darnold hitting Brandon Ayuk for about 45 yards. Ayuk had to lay out for it a little bit. That was a pretty like, ooh, okay. That was a good play. It was a good play. Also, one of my favorite moments was Jordan Mason giving Jair Brown the shoulder. Just absolutely dropping his shoulder into the rookie. The rookie kind of like, whoa, like we're hit sticking without pads. I didn't know that's how it was. It kind of was like, welcome to the NFL, Rook. Like JP just straight up, I think it went into straight up instinctual mode and just tucked his shoulder and popped Jair right in the chest and shot Jair back. They made some pretty good contact on that particular play, but it was fun. I laughed at it because it was like a welcome to the NFL kind of rookie moment from Jordan Mason to Jair Brown. I thought it was cool to see Moody kick the football again. Defensive line looks. I know the defensive line is going to be good, but I'm waiting for pads, man. I'm waiting for pads. When pads come on, I'm really excited about that because I think this defensive line is going to go stupid, and that's with or without Bosa. But I definitely do assume that the D line's going to be pretty fire, pretty fire. But anyways, love me or hate me, I appreciate all you guys. Again, y'all are the best. Shout out to the SDS. I know the SDS really knows what's good. So I'm not too worried about it. So shout out to all my real SDS folk out there. Shout out the whole sourdough squad. Shout out to everyone that's saying what's up to me at training camp. It's still like surreal and super cool that people just go out of their way to say what's up and take pictures with me, and like it's crazy, man. So if you see me at training camp and you said what's up, I appreciate you guys, man. That's still really cool. Still really cool that people go out of their way to show love. So appreciate all you guys as always. Shout out the sourdough squad. Grab your cookies on the way out. Day 2 in the books. People watch the comments of this video when I post it. Watch the comments of the video when I post it. When they read Brock Purdy returns, down day for Lance, Darnold rising. Watch the comments. People are going to lose their mind. Oh, could you say that? Oh, sorry. See, I knew it was going to get a rise out of people, but I also know where I'm coming from. So I'm having fun with it. But shout out to all you guys as always. Appreciate everyone. Of course, we'll be back with more 49ers content and coverage and all that good stuff. I appreciate you guys. I'm out of here. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to see it.